All right, hey guys, what's going on? My name's Chris Jaquez, and this is your Best Life Defined. How are you doing today? How are your resolutions going? Are you kicking ass? Still on it? Still on? I am. I am. I haven't drank. I'm not drinking. Really watching the calories. We haven't been eating out. We haven't been eating any bad food. The food's been really good around here, although there's a serious lack in sugars, chocolate, and candy. The closest I can come to that is some jelly on a cracker. Okay. We do have rice cakes. Rice cakes are working good for me. If you're not on your resolution, if you stepped away from it for a minute, that's okay. We all need to just jump back on it. Doesn't mean you've lost. It just means you've taken time off. So go ahead and grab a hold of it. Let's get back on this thing. Hey, just so you know, speaking of resolutions, January 24th, I will have been married 40 years. So you are going to have to know that on that evening, I will be drinking. I will be spending some time having a few cocktails with my wife and celebrating 40 years of success. Now, not necessarily 40 years of wedded bliss, but 40 years of success. I love my wife more now than I ever have. I think we have a really great relationship. But I was thinking about this whole story about living your best life, and that the whole thought came to mind when I was thinking about my wife and I, and I'm thinking, may have given you the impression that our lives are perfect. Because I talk a lot about how much energy we have and how much fun we have and how great our life is. And it is great, but it's great because of the amount of choices we have. But as you know, or you may know, with every choice comes an obligation, a burden. And for this amazing life we have, we still have to deal with the mechanics of living the life we do, right? I still have to work on the fifth wheel. I still have to take care of certain issues with it. And then there's the brokenness that exists inside all of us, right? I'm sitting there listening to Brene Brown and Dak Shepard and Tim Ferriss in their podcast on the way back from seeing our kids, and I was impressed about a lot of things about the podcast. I mean, the sound quality and the delivery and the intro. I mean, they do a really good job there. What was most amazing was the amount of knowledge and information that those three people were giving out. And it wasn't just halfway knowledge. It was solid knowledge, solid guidance that you could understand. Now you might think, well, did it inspire you? No, it sent me into a shame spiral. I was feeling so inadequate when I got done listening to that podcast. And granted, I was really impressed. I really was impressed. I still am. I'm impressed. I've always been impressed with Brene Brown since I listened to her first book, The Power of Vulnerability. She's just an amazing person. She changed my life and my wife's life, and she changed our relationship. But to have those three people sitting in that room, I was feeling about 2 inches tall. I'm like, I get done with that podcast. I don't say anything to my wife. She kind of looks over. She knows something's wrong, and I'm sitting there. I'm just trying to play it off. I'm trying to escape this thing. I can feel myself falling. It's like waiting for the chute to open, right? And I'm sitting here, and finally I hit bottom. We get home, and I'm doing my thing, and I'm working through this thing. I'm working through this thing. And then I remembered something that Dak Shepard said when he was during that conversation with Brene Brown and Tim Ferriss. He was talking about his own inner vulnerabilities, and he says, he goes, it's none of my business what other people think of me. Now, he had a more X-rated version of that. He used the F word in it, but I'm not going to do that. But that's what he said, and it was a powerful statement. Powerful. Because in that instance, it pulled me completely out of that pit I was in about unworthiness. I'm not worthy. Why should I be a podcaster? Well, guess what? Someone has to be a podcaster. Someone has to call you out when you're probably playing a game with yourself. You're not being completely honest with how great it is to live your life. And I figure, hell, why not me, right? Why not me? So let's talk about this issue from the standpoint of where you're at, right? You can tell me what you want on social media. You can jump in there and you can post anything you want. And guess what? I know your life isn't perfect. I know you wake up every day and there are things you want. There are things you wish you had. There are things that you wish you could do that you just cannot find a way to do them. And on the other side of that coin, I bet there are a bunch of things that you wish you didn't ever have to do again. Rolling out of bed, sitting on the edge of the bed, wishing the day was over. That's the imperfect part of life. And some people say, well, they look at it as a negative. It pulls the energy from them. But if you think about it, this is the ultimate source for energy. It's like seeing your room's a mess and you say, I think I'm just going to clean it. And you grab a hold of that goal and you clean it. And when you get done, you're like, yeah, yeah. And then you're sitting around, you're looking around. What else? What else, right? If you focus it in the right light, if you look at anything in the right light, it can be a tool for change in a positive direction. It can be a tool to make your life better. No one's life is perfect. My life is far from perfect. I don't have enough money yet. Maybe I don't need it, but there's just this sense of security you have from having, I guess, a certain amount of money, and I apparently am not there because it doesn't feel like I have enough money yet, right? That's the imperfect side of this. The imperfect side of this is that even though Sandy and I have been married 40 years, January 24th, we're still fixing the damage that's been done. We're still dealing with residual damage from our childhood, from our earlier years. And it takes a long time and a lot of focus. Those stories you see on Facebook, the next time you get on social media and you see something pop up and it makes you feel bad, makes you think about your life in a negative light, that person who posted that stuff, they got struggles too. See, the nice part about it is that these imperfections, they're not just limited to a certain economic class, a social economic class. They run all the way to the top. Think about it. Rich people killing themselves, committing suicide. Famous people making stupid decisions, going off the deep end, killing somebody. And see, there's an idea that the asset part of life, the amount of money you have and the cars are somehow going to make your life easier. And granted, it does. The fact that I don't have to worry about money is because I'm retired, my wife's retired, and we're sitting where we are. It's a nice benefit. But I wouldn't spend any more time thinking about my circumstances if I were to have to get up every day and go to a job. Because that's the imperfections of life. But if you focus on the things you can do to make those imperfections go away, to improve on those imperfections, to make your life better, because you look at where you are and you say, that's not for me. Use it, do it. Spend a lot of time talking about energy. Spend a lot of time talking about how that energy drives you in one direction or the other. I don't understand how we can have people in the world who will spend their entire amount of energy headed in a negative direction. What do you suppose happens to you when you spend all of your time looking at angry things, thinking angry thoughts? Does it take your life in a positive direction? No. You got two sides of the coin. Pick it. Your life sucks. There are parts of your life that you wish you could change. Change it. Pick one of those things and say, okay, you know what? This is not perfect. I'm going to make it perfect. This is not perfect. I'm going to make it perfect. It's that simple. Do you want to hear this? I don't know. I don't think there are some people who don't. Some people aren't ready to say, hey, listen, it's time for me to stop talking about it. It's time for me to quit finding reasons why I can't. And it's time for me to go ahead and step out of this idea that the world expects me to have a perfect life when no one in the world has a perfect life. It's okay for you to have your not so perfect life, because your friends have a not so perfect life and your parents have a not so perfect life. This is an opportunity for you to use those imperfections to drive your life to perfection. Will it ever happen? Hell no, it'll never happen. But you can do one or two things. You can sit still right where you're at now and never change a thing in your life, or you can find the energy in changing something that's worth changing. And you wake up and you say, ooh, look what I did. Yeah, okay, but what about this? And you're like, okay, let's get it, right? That's how I look at it. This is my thing. Like I said, I am so filled with imperfections. Like my cycle is about every week. I fall off a cliff as I think about how I suck at podcasts and how I'll never get this done and how I never amount to anything and why would anyone love me, right? That's the imperfect side of it. That's why it's so important for you to move forward on every opportunity you have. That's why it's so important for you to continue to scan your horizon and look for things that you can do to make your life better. So, hey, listen, guys, I'm just keep showing up. I keep wanting to reach out to you, and I invite you to give me challenges. Send me some information about some topic you'd like to have me talk about, because I tell you what, I guarantee you can't stump me. Thank you for the subscribes. Thanks for the downloads. I really appreciate it. And as always, just remember, today's your day. Make it a good one.